At 3:47 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the world shifted. While Washington slept, the Situation Room inside the Pentagon was fully active. President Trump has just authorized the single largest kinetic operation in West African history, and the scale of this attack is unprecedented. We are not talking about a warning shot or a diplomatic sanction. We are talking about 842 U.S. Marines from the 2nd Expeditionary Force and 12 Tomahawk cruise missiles launched from the USS Gerald R. Ford, currently positioned off the Gulf of Guinea. Intelligence sources confirmed that at 4:02 a.m., the night sky over the Sambisa Forest didn't just light up, it was obliterated. The target was a fortress, a sprawling, hidden city of terror that intelligence agencies missed for 3 years until tonight. The official casualty count is rising, but the message from the commander-in-chief is clear: the rules of engagement have changed. Let me show you how deep it goes. The ground shook as Delta Force operators breached the perimeter of what was designated Sector 0 at 4:12 a.m. local time. The environment was hostile, with zero visibility and a thick jungle canopy, but the sound of rotor blades from 6 MH-60 Blackhawk helicopters tore through the silence. This wasn't a standard raid, it was a surgical dismantling of the primary command nodes for ISIS West Africa. As operators moved through the compound, thermal imaging surveillance picked up heat signatures that defied logic. Massive underground bunkers reinforced with concrete. Flashbangs detonated. Doors opened. Chaos erupted. Inside, the reality was worse than the satellite imagery suggested. Agents discovered a sophisticated logistics hub containing $847 million in physical currency stacked on pallets and crates marked with diplomatic seals containing 1.2 tons of high-grade precursor chemicals. But the most chilling discovery came at 4:32 a.m. In the lower levels, they found them, 312 hostages. Teachers, students, aid workers, some missing for over 700 days. The order was explicit: total liberation. Zero tolerance. By 4:55 a.m., the compound was secured, the sky was filled with smoke, and the enemy was neutralized. Tap like. This investigation doesn't stop here. The smoke cleared, but the digital forensic analysis inside the FBI's mobile command unit had just begun. Cyber forensics teams are currently decrypting 14 terabytes of data seized from the compound, and here is where the story shifts from a military strike to a global conspiracy. The hard drives revealed a network known only as Project Obsidian. This wasn't just a terrorist camp, it was a financial clearinghouse. The data exposes 51 shell companies registered in Europe and the Caribbean, moving billions of dollars right under the nose of the global banking system. We found wire transfers linked to offshore accounts in the Caymans, routed through encrypted authorization keys. The money wasn't just buying weapons, it was buying influence. The organizational chart found on the main server connects the cartel leader, a man known only as the Architect, to logistics hubs in 3 different continents. We are looking at a drug superlab infrastructure capable of pumping 2.3 tons of methamphetamine into the global market every month. This was a parallel government, a shadow empire operating with impunity. Comment next if you want the truth to go deeper. This is the part the media won't tell you. Why did this fortress exist for so long? How did they move tons of narcotics and millions of dollars without detection? The answer lies in the phones seized from the compound. Operation Solar-Storm has uncovered evidence of high-level corruption within the very agencies sworn to stop this. We aren't talking about low-level guards, we are talking about state-level betrayal. At 6:12 a.m., based on intelligence from the raid, U.S. forces coordinated with local clean state units to arrest 3 high-ranking regional officials. These men were sworn to protect their people, yet they sold them out. Text messages recovered show them alerting the terrorists to troop movements weeks in advance and providing safe passage for drug shipments. They promised protection, yet they delivered destruction. The betrayal runs deep. One veteran officer on the ground was quoted saying, "We were fighting ghosts because our own leaders were feeding them the coordinates." The emotional toll is staggering, but tonight, the leak was plugged. The corruption was exposed. There was no warning this time. If you're still watching, hit like. The next reveal is worse. You need to understand the scale of what was just dismantled because this wasn't just about Nigeria. The maps found on the walls of the command center outlined a narcotics pipeline stretching from the poppy fields of Asia, through the ports of West Africa, and directly into western cities. They had established a blue route, a maritime corridor used by retrofitted fishing vessels to transport fentanyl pills by the ton. Intelligence analysts are calling it a drug superhighway. The logistics were corporate grade, they tracked shipments with GPS, ensured their cargo, and had a payroll that rivaled Fortune 500 companies. This strike severed the head of the snake, but the body is still moving. The connections to the Sinaloa cartel in Mexico and trafficking rings in Eastern Europe are undeniable. This was a global conglomerate of death, and for the first time in history, The United States didn't just cut a branch, they burned the root. We live in a world where silence is bought and justice is often delayed. But operations like this remind us that eventually, the bill comes due. The darkness relies on our apathy. It relies on us not looking. Today, the operation proved that no fortress is impenetrable and no amount of money can hide you when the full force of justice comes knocking. The system failed these people for years, but today, the system was overridden. Power is not about who has the most money, it's about who has the will to act. So tap like so more people see this story. The algorithm tries to bury the truth, but we won't let it. Comment truth if you want the full list of shell companies brought into the light.